안녕하세요. It is a very hot day here in Nebraska. We're over 100 degrees today and high humidity, so a little more casual dress today. You'll see Gamja's with me today. You've seen a lot of little short videos about Gamja, and we thought, why don't we share the adventure of getting Gamja. It's actually going to be a two-part story, but wanted to tell you about the first part today. So, my wife and I have for quite a while wanted to get a French Bulldog. In particular, my brother-in-law in Korea has worked a lot with Rescue French Bulldogs and has two himself, and so it was always a dream of ours to maybe bring one back someday from Korea. So this past spring in March we were planning a trip for Korea. It's going to be my second ever trip and my longest trip there, and we were looking to see might we be able to see about bringing back a French Bulldog. And we looked, and there was one option that looked very possible, and then unfortunately for health reasons that Bulldog wasn't going to be able to travel back with us, and we were very sad and heartbroken because we were so close to leaving to head there that we didn't think it would work again. Well, my brother-in-law and his wife found one more, and her name was Gamja, and it just so happens that a long time before this, when we were wanting to get a French Bulldog, we thought Gamja would be a cute name for a French Bulldog because Gamja is Korean for potato. And so we thought, well, this is special. She's actually already named our favorite name, and she was favorite color, reminded us of a French Bulldog that used to belong to my brother-in-law that was very sweet. And so we found out Gamja had been shown up outside the apartment of her foster owner one day in Busan, and that foster family really adored her and took good care of her, but just wasn't getting along with the other pets and didn't have really room to have Gamja long term, and we're looking for a new home for Gamja. So we rushed to try and get everything ready for the trip. There are several things involved with bringing a dog from South Korea back to the United States, but it's actually easier than it is for some other countries. South Korea, it has very low incidences of rabies. So because South Korea has very few incidences of rabies for dogs, that means there's a lot fewer steps. It's a lot easier to bring a dog from South Korea to the United States. So one thing is to get a veterinarian checkup to make sure the dog's in good health. Has to be at least 6 months old or older, and I'm just 4, so that's 4 years old, so that's not a problem. And then would also need to be microchipped and need some shots, like a rabies shot, for example, and also to go to the quarantine offices in South Korea to make sure everything is set up for paperwork for there as well too. And then there's some an online form that U.S. citizens fill out also for the dog. So we made sure to get everything that we needed for that, and also a pet carrier for Gamja, because French Bulldogs and other dogs who have shorter noses have breathing problems, like for example pugs are another breed. Nowadays airlines require that they be in the cabin. They can't be down in the cargo compartment or anything, because they won't get enough oxygen down there because of their breathing difficulties. So lots of airlines have a lot of different rules for what dogs and what size and so forth can be in the cabin. And part of the complexity is that for our flight, we were flying from Omaha to Atlanta to Incheon near Seoul to Busan. And it was two airlines that I'm not going to name that were involved with it. And one of the airlines had a weight requirement, and the other just had a size requirement that it would be in a dog carrier that could fit under the seat in front. And so we got such a carrier for it, and we headed over to Korea. And so we actually were flying into Busan, which is where Gamja was, and Amani and Abuji picked us up at the airport because my wife's hometown of Changwon is just about a 30-minute drive from there, and so we headed home. And the next morning we got all ready because one of my wife's cousins was getting married in Busan, so I got to experience my first Korean wedding, which was very cool. It's a lot different, a lot shorter than the ones in the US, very fun, and we had a great time eating with family afterwards and so forth. And then after that we had a bit of free time, so we got to go meet Gamja. We arranged to meet with Gamja's foster family at a coffee house not too far away in Busan, and guess who was outside the coffee house too? It was Gamja. It's so funny looking back at that time. Gamja seemed so shy, but also very curious and exploring a lot. She doesn't seem shy to me anymore though, so but instantly Legume and I fell in love with her, and we had we needed a leash and a harness and so forth, and we brought Gamja back with us that evening. So we got to explore some of Busan. It was my first time really being in Busan, and then we went to stay with the mother of the groom, that is Tanto Imo and Uncle Jub and their family, and Gamja just got along with everyone. She had good manners. She, of course, watched us very closely while we were all eating together, but she didn't try to get any food off the table or anything, and just so well trained and everything already. She's just very sweet. Everyone loved her and did a good job sleeping with all of us. And so over the next few weeks while we were there, Gamja traveled with us quite a bit. She wasn't able to go with us to the trip we had for Jeju Island with Amani, Tanto Imo, and Haksein Imo, and my wife. So she stayed a few days with her foster family. They were kind enough to take her for a few days for that, and we were so grateful for all the family that helped with taking care of Gamja the rest of the time while we were traveling with her, and just staying at different places and so forth. And so we went to get her checked at a veterinarian that actually is my brother-in-law's veterinarian, that works with his family's 2 French Bulldogs, and he did such a great job and was so gentle, and got her microchipped and everything, and showed she was just in really good health. Showed there was something a little interesting showing up on the ultrasound for her uterus, but thought maybe that was just because she had finished her cycle or something like that, but thought maybe want to check on that later and so forth. We'll talk more about that part in part 2 though, but for now we got a lot of things taken care of there. We went lots of traveling with Gamja. We were very pleasantly surprised. Gamja loves to ride in cars. She gets so excited. Even now when we head out to the garage, Gamja will jump up to the doorknob trying to open it faster because she's so excited to go on car rides with us. We have a little car seat box for her. We'll have to show you sometime. So she just loved traveling in cars with us all through Korea. That was an adventure too. I've never driven in another country, and I drove a lot in Korea. I even drove, we ended up needing to change our arrangements that we couldn't bring Gamja on a flight from Busan to Incheon. So we, fortunately though, that airline was very kind and made arrangements that we canceled that leg of the flight. We rented a car, and Gamja and Yobo and I traveled across Korea from Busan to Incheon to get there for our flight home. And She did so well. Very nervous going through security because never traveled with a dog before, and just was really worried maybe at any step of the way they could, perhaps security or the airline or something, just say nope, she can't come. And so it was very nervous experience too, but we got her through security, and just in time our plane was boarding, and she was so well behaved on the flight. The veterinarian had some natural medicine that helped relax her. It didn't make her sleepy or anything, because he didn't want us to worry that there would be something like she was sick or something like that, but just helped her with any anxiety and stuff for that trip, and got her snacks and water while we were traveling and so forth. And she was just so quiet, and we'd reach in and pet her some, and I'm sure that was still a long journey for her. Actually, when we finally landed in Atlanta, the gentleman sitting next to my wife was so surprised to find that there was a French Bulldog there, because he had swapped seats early on with his daughter, who had been sitting next to my wife originally, and so he didn't see her when she came on board, and he was napping while we would check on her, but she was just so quiet and well behaved. And so and then we had to go through the part of customs to make sure that she would get cleared through for coming into the United States. It was so funny, we saw a British Bulldog there that was the same color as her, just the same kind of cream and white and so forth, so we thought maybe they're distant cousins, but that went really straightforward too. We didn't have any problems there as well too. So finally, after a long travel, Gamja made it back with us to Nebraska, safe and sound. Maybe we'll have to include a video later of her first time, very excited to be in the new home and exploring it and everything. So that's the story of how Gamja came home with us. But less than a week after that, it turns out we had an even more difficult adventure with Gamja. So we'll tell you about that next time. Until then, annyeong!